Brescher, Chair of the Real Estate Assessment Committee. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Rhoda Wyman.
Present.
Penny Dye.
Present.
Lee Saperstein.
Here.
Thomas Barretta.
Present.
Terrific, thank you. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmatives. kbeaugrand.
Here.
Eleanor Antoinetti.
Here.
Fantastic. Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Arthur Reade, attorney for owner of 55 Holbert.
Here.
David Lilly.
I am here.
Fantastic. Stephen Cohen, attorney for 57 Holbert.
Here.
And Ranney. Assessor.
He was there.
He was
David,
there.
I just muted you because there was some background noise. FYI.
Oh, I was asking if Rob was there. Is he?
He was earlier.
Actually, somebody.
And John, Andrew Vorse is also here.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Ken. It's tough for me to see on the phone. And Andrew Vorse.
Here.
Thank you, Andrew. All right.
Rick Aston.
Rick will not be joining us today. All right, good afternoon. This open meeting of the Real Estate Assessment Committee is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order on March 12, 2020 due to this current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gathering, and as such, the Governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in public accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely as so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment to those of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. For this meeting, the Real Estate Assessment Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. For Zoom meetings, please know that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Meeting materials, all supporting materials have been provided by members of this body are available on the town's website. Unless otherwise noted, the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I, the chair, note otherwise. All right, we're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair. For items of public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Thank you all for bearing with us with that one. Okay.
Has anybody ever seen Hamlet Machine? Because John does it justice.
Thank
Really?
you, I think.
Very good.
Thank you. All right, let's see. Hold on, let's see if I can do this quickly.
Agenda.
Yes, the agenda, which now is not showing up for me. Terrific. First item on the agenda is a call to order. Let's see. I'm sorry, the agenda just...
Here it is.
Here it is. Hold on. All right. Call to order. Second item is an approval of the agenda as written. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Thank you all. Okay. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, I'll do a roll call vote. Rhoda Wyman.
Aye.
Penny Dye.
Aye.
Lee Saperstein.
Aye.
Thomas Barretta.
Aye.
John Brescher, the chair, votes aye. All right, next item on the agenda is public comment. There are members of the public in attendance, although we are going to be having matters that I anticipate they'll be discussing. So if there's anything that they are going to discuss that is not on the agenda, I guess now would be the time to do so. Anything from the members of the public? All right, Not, then we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Thank you very much for sending over the minutes of September 21st. I hope everyone has had a chance to read them. If so, may I please have a motion to approve the minutes as drafted?
So moved.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All right, any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye, and we'll go roll call vote. Rhoda Wyman,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Lee Saperstein,
Aye.
Thomas Barada,
Aye.
and John Brescher votes aye as well. Terrific. All right, onward to the meat of our discussion today, conveyances. All right, we have two conveyances in front of us. This was back from, I want to say January of 2020, maybe?
At
Or it might have
least.
been 2019.
Maybe
More
longer.
prehistoric than that, actually, but we were
Okay.
gonna resolve it in March.
John, this is Lee.
Lilly.
I'd like to be the one that moves this because I'll bring a little bit of roads and right away into the conversation.
By all means, Lee.
It was, I can't tell you how many years ago that roads and right away was asked, what about the ways to the harbor from Hulbert Avenue? And our rather timid response was, but those are abutters ways and it would take an active town meeting. All credit to then Selectman Rick Atherton, who moved rather abruptly at town meeting to take the 5 ways and provide the means for conveyance. I'd just like to note that the owners of the property that we're looking at on James Street have been very patient with us, and I think it's time to make this conveyance. And so therefore I so move.
Okay. All right. There was a motion. Now, because there are two conveyances, I think we should do them, and they are
And then she
related.
can enter or not enter. I mean, it's required.
John, this is Stephen. And before we do that, I do have a couple of questions.
Yeah, like.
Okay, by all means.
So we're going to take them ad seriatim?
Back and forth.
Sorry, what was that, Lee?
Ad seriatim, it's a legal term.
Wouldn't know. Yeah, that's fine. Why don't we hold the motion? But Stephen, what would you? By all means, I think you're up for 57 Holbert.
Yeah. So, I mean, just as a technical matter, I think you need to open both hearings before you can take a vote on both, if you choose to do it that way. But I'm sure you'll take care of the process. You don't need my advice, and I'll promise not to use any Latin. But I think that we're good on this, but I want to make sure. This is essentially a conveyance of this lot to my client and to Arthur's clients with a reservation of a public access easement that's 8 feet wide at a portion and cuts down to 5 feet wide at a portion. But I don't think that we have the actual, and then it also includes a substantial 1B beach easement on the existing beach up until the existing bulkhead. All of that is fine. The 2 questions that we have that we want to make sure get into the document are that there's no motor vehicle access on any of it except emergency vehicle access. In other words, we don't want the public using this as parking or trucks or whatever, but if the ambulance or fire truck wants to come, they're welcome to. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that there would be it would be clear that there's still a right to put up the winter protection that has up until now always been up there. I think you know that there's been boards that have been put up along the where the existing block is, and we want to maintain the right to be able to do that.
Called a seawall.
The seawall, yeah. Thank you.
So if I can chime in, I do recall this from the first go around, but is the seawall going to prohibit any pedestrian access?
So that's sort of the question. And I believe now they just put up plywood, and maybe David Lilly could give more detail because I haven't been out there to see it. But I mean, I have seen it, but I didn't examine it for this week. I believe it's just plywood that they put up, and it's, if needed, we could potentially make it so that there was like a door or gate or something, although I'm not proposing that. But I think that we want to make sure that the existing winter protection is maintained. I think that's an important feature, and it certainly would limit or inhibit the access. But I don't know that it isn't something that we can't work out.
Okay, thank you. Well,
Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Lilly.
Stephen is correct. It is plywood, and it typically goes up in November or December and covers the entire bulkhead from the easterly corner of our lot to the westerly corner of 57,
Yep.
which includes the proposed right-of-way. And the reason it's put up is to protect the yards and the right-of-way from winter storms and the massive amount of sand that can infiltrate. In years past, where the plywood has been blown down, we end up having to remove literally tons of sand in the spring. The boards come down usually around mid-April. And I agree, there is probably a way to fashion a door or some kind of passage, but it would be important to try and protect the beach and yards and right-of-way.
Yeah, so
Okay.
just and building on that, I think, we want to make sure that aside, as long as the public access can be maintained, that there's no prohibition on maintenance or improvement of the existing conditions. So, if the bulkhead needs to be repaired or replaced or whatever, that may involve temporary, construction that would block public access and things like that. I just want to make sure that taking activities that can be expected are not somehow prohibited.
Sure, and just to be clear on this, that the two owners are going to be the ones maintaining these easement areas?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure of that. Okay. No, I certainly appreciate balancing sort of the needs of the homeowners as it relates to the bulkhead and protecting from winter storms, while also ensuring that there is public access, because we do have a one big beach easement. And although there may not be a lot of access during the winter months, access is still access, and people need to be able to get there.
Yeah.
So I suspect as long as we can, or you can wordsmith something with Vicky between the two owners and the town in terms of providing ensuring that access will be preserved. However, you still have the right to improve or put up the plywood for the bulkhead, for winter maintenance, for lack of a better term.
John, this is Lee.
Yes, Lee.
In terms of old-fashioned farm technology, it's called a stile, and that gets you up and over a fence.
Okay. Good to know.
So I don't want to design it now, and I don't want to wordsmith it now, but I do think it's important, since you will be sending a motion to the select board for approval, that there's some notation in that motion that the committee's recommendation includes, the no motor vehicle access except for emergency vehicles as an understanding of the agreement, and also that maintenance and improvement of the existing bulkhead, as well as the traditional winter protection that's added, should also be maintained, subject to providing for some way of having public access. I just don't want us to get into a position where it moves forward without some notation of that, and then I get to town council's office and they're telling me that's not the deal.
Wouldn't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. So, getting back to this, I mean, we have effectively opened up these conveyances. I do think that because they are so intertwined, we can open them both at the same time. So that's 57 Holbert and 55 Holbert Avenue. So we've heard from members of the public. Mr. Lilly and Attorney Cohen. Arthur, do you want to add anything, or I assume we're having the same sort of
Yeah,
general sentiment?
Not at this point. Obviously, I'm happy to discuss anything that you want to discuss and answer any questions, but I don't have anything specific to add at this point.
Beautiful. All right. In that case, I will. Staff, do you have anything to add, either Ken, Eleanor, or Mr. Vorse?
Nothing from me.
Nope.
All right, not hearing anything from Andrew. Terrific. All right, so board members, I'll go down the line to see if we have any comments. Rhoda Wyman?
I have to recuse myself.
Never mind, Rhoda doesn't have any comments then. That's easy enough.
John, do we have a second?
We do not yet, Lee. I was going to go through the board discussion before and then
The
take
motion
up your
needs to be
your motion.
crafted. The motion needs to be crafted because we have additional language to add.
So, all right, so as a point of order, I was going to go through any board comments before the motion was going to be made, but if you would prefer for me for us to revisit the motion, get a second, and then do board comments, that's fine too.
No, it's up to you. I just want to make sure that we have a specific motion that I am going to
I
have
agree.
as you want it.
Okay, so John, now I'm going to bring out some of my history. In the Penn State Faculty Senate, we always made the motion and then we opened discussion. And the vote came at the close of discussion. So you had to open the motion before you could discuss. But we followed Robert's, not necessarily town meeting rules.
Well, and let's go with the Nittany lines then. All right, so would you like to make that motion, Lee?
Yes. To move the conveyances in item 5, and that would be Fife at 57 Hulbert and 55 Hulbert as well.
Okay, motion has, and do you want to mention anything as it relates to access and the bulkhead?
I think it's been covered. We'll take the will for the deed.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion. Is there a second on the motion?
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Okay, let's do any discussion on the motion. Lee, anything else you would like to add on that motion?
In my introduction, I complimented then selectman, now we call him select board member, Rick Atherton, for getting this before town meeting. And I also praised the landowners for their patience.
All right, duly noted. Tom Sparita, any comments?
Yes, this one came through. We had a review of this at the Roads and Rights of Way Committee meeting, and there was discussion in regard to being able to have the 8-foot access down to the water so that people could actually load skiffs on vehicles. And now it's being introduced by Mr. Cohen to not allow vehicle access to be able to move watercraft at all. I know that it goes down to a 5-foot easement, and I know that we had discussed access to it, but it seems that now it's being introduced that Mr. Cohen's party would like to have the restriction of no motor vehicle access for loading or unloading. And I don't believe that was in the discussion when it was really first brought about. And I know that there was somebody that was at the meeting that was a local person that was one of their concerns in regard to access to this was for the loading of a sunfish or a skiff or something like that. So I wanted to raise that point that it seems that this request for to be added to this is kind of at the last minute in regard. That's one question. That's one thing. The other question I had is, are both of these properties subdividable? And is this good? And if not, is this going to add property for being able to be subdivided?
If I can respond to that, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, yes, please.
The Lilly property, 55 Hulbert, has already been subdivided. It was subdividable all along under 81L. Okay. And it constitutes 2 lots at the present time. no additional lots would be able to be created as a result of this. The
Okay.
existing subdivision was not dependent upon being
Sure.
able to obtain any additional land through the yard sale process.
Thank you. Just verifying. Thank you.
Stephen, can you add anything to 57? Maybe not.
I haven't looked at that. I don't actually know if it's subdividable or if this would change it, but the yard sale typically has a restriction that says that there's no subdivision by means of this additional land. So I would say if it's subdividable now, it is, and if it's subdividable, nothing by the addition of this land would make it subdividable is the typical and acceptable condition.
Terrific. Okay, thank you. All right, not to put this on, but any staff members, I'm trying to recall, and thank you, Thomas, for that. I'm trying to recall the discussion about the access in terms of where we're allowing pedestrian versus vehicular versus boat access. And I will confess, I do not, I remember Bob DaCosta and I believe Andrew Lowell showed up to the meeting, and I know it was a concern. I think that's what one of their concerns was, at least as it relates to access. But I'm not sure if it hit on vehicular and boat access. And I'm not. I mean, this has been going on so long. I honestly do not remember if that was.
I do have some information.
Okay, please.
So Mr. Lowell did ask this to have this on the agenda for the shelf. What's it called? HSAB.
SHAP.
Yeah. Harbor and Shellfish Advisory Board. It was on their agenda on. And I can share these minutes if you like. They were not posted until I told their secretary he needed to post them. I had to reach out and get them. It wasn't easy. I mean, he was very accommodating, I should say, but they weren't posted. They met on February 4th and February 18th, and the last meeting being the 18th, where it was discussed, probably because they seem to have resolved this situation. And let's see, and now I'm having a frozen screen naturally, of course. Oh my God. Hold on, let me open it again. Give me a second, please. And I can read it out loud to you. I can also share the screen if you like. So this is from the minutes from Tuesday, February 18th at 5 p.m. meeting of the Shellfish and Harbor Advisory Board. Regarding old business regarding James Street Extension, Hulbert Avenue Public Way issues. The HSAB continued to rehash this issue. Mr. Lowell indicated that this is pretty much resolved and that it can be used as emergency access to the harbor should the need arise. Ms. Andrews cautioned against giving up ownership of Nantucket rights of way. Mr. Lowell said the attorneys for the property owners on either side of this way indicated that their clients wouldn't be doing any more building on their lots. The HSAB agreed that it had done the best it could to alert all concerned to the necessity of this way for emergency harbor access. So it's emergency access, not necessarily recreational. That's now the Shellfish and Harbor. That's not right of way, Roads and Right of Way Committee. That's a different committee altogether.
Yeah. So and so I assume that when we said emergency access, we're meaning it that encompasses both, I don't know, land and maritime. I mean, emergency is emergency. That's sort of, yes, Lee.
All right, we've had this discussion before. In the declaration of an emergency, the police powers of the town prevail, and they can go right down through the middle if they need to. We have two attorneys here who can contest what I've said or agree, but I'm pretty sure that emergency powers would give the town whatever license they need to go through there.
I would strongly agree with that. And just in terms of the whole background and discussion, as was indicated, this has been going on for a long time between my client and the town, and Stephen's client, Stephen, having come later to the party on this. The history all along, and again, Andrew has been in the process all along, and I think can corroborate what I'm saying. what we've discussed all along would be that there would be an adequate pedestrian access from Halbert Avenue to the water, 5 feet wide, which is more than adequate to provide for that pedestrian access. And that the issue having come up of vehicular access for emergency purposes, that there would be an 8-foot easement for that purpose. At the point where the concrete retaining wall exists and has existed for, since time immemorial across the road, from that point on, obviously no vehicles are going to be able to pass beyond that point. Pedestrians are going to be able to get past the wall. Pedestrians are going to be able to get over the bulkhead. If necessary, I like Mr. Saperstein's concept of the stile. He's absolutely right. Could be done that way, but in any event, a reasonably nimble person can get through there. But again, there's no reason for vehicular access beyond that point because it's simply impractical. And as far as emergency access as against any other kind of access, bear in mind, we're talking about an 8-foot right of way, and you'd be having circumstance. It's not a circumstance where I think anyone would want to encourage, not just from the standpoint of the owners, but from any purpose, extensive vehicular use of it, because anybody going in there is going to have to back out. It's not practical.
Right. Okay. Yes, Lee.
Just one more quick comment. Don't forget that the taking was of 5 ways, and I apologize. We got James, Henry, Willard, 2 others, plus Charles Street, which goes all the way to the water. Now, the objection to Charles Street is there's a bit of sandy beach that has to be crossed, but Charles Street is vehicular available. So it's not as if this is the only way to the water from Hulbert to the harbor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thomas, does that help with your questions, concerns, comments, etc.?
Yeah, it's Mr. Reade just said it's a 5-foot easement down the lane when the taking the disposition of, I believe it's 8
foot for most.
8.
Yep, it's 8 foot for most of it, and then 5 feet towards the end as you get closer to the beach.
Okay, just confirming that.
Oh no,
Okay.
absolutely. All right. Any other comments, Tom?
No.
Okay. Penny, any comments?
Sorry, no.
Actually, John,
Yes.
when this is submitted to the Board of Selectmen,
Yep.
I'd like to make note in the report that it shows that no vehicle access other than emergency usage.
Yep.
And that there was discussion by a citizen at a meeting that was concerned about being able to move a sailboat or a skiff or whatnot to be able to back down, unload a skiff, and then take the vehicle away. And I do remember that being in a meeting. And so I'd like to make note of that the selectmen are aware of what is being proposed now in regard.
Could you get me the minutes of that meeting? Because if you're going to reference it here, it really should be something that we have access to.
Okay.
I don't know what meeting you're talking about. I mean, I found the minutes to HSAB. I don't know about the roads and right of way, but Lee's on that committee.
Let me I'll do some research.
Thank you.
Okay. Penny, any comments?
No,
I don't
thank
know
you.
if she did answer me and said no, great. If not, well.
No, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Penny. Okay. All right. And I, as the chair, thank you for all your patience. Thank you for the diligent research in all of this. Thanks for vetting all of these issues. I think this all makes sense. We have 8-foot easement, 5-foot easement, 1 big beach easement, and the ability to use it for emergency vehicles. I think that's reasonable in light of this, and the town's getting some money out of this as well for lot 2 on 55 Holbert Ave. So I'm good. So board members, any other discussion on the motion, or are we ready to vote?
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just
Yes, Arthur.
almost a point of order. I just want to make it clear that the motion, speaking of the 2 properties, I believe it's really the 3 properties, the 2 Lilly
That's a good
properties and the 5 property. I just want to make it clear in everyone's mind that the motion that Mr. Saperstein made covers all 3 parcels.
That's right. So the motion will be to
John?
convey.
John,
Yep.
John,
Yes.
it's Ken. Since I'm going to be having to present this to the select board, I would like for you to have your committee consider the fact of the point that Mr. Barata just made relative to discussion as to the vehicular access, and indicate that you have formally considered that, and having taken that into consideration in view of the various discussions, that you still put forward the recommendation of the motion, having fully been aware of the request of a individual to in fact have vehicular access, and you're not recommending that at this point in time.
Okay. All right. So, in light of that,
John, not to continuously interrupt you, but I don't know how you're planning on putting in the comments that Ken had, but I think it sort of runs in line with the comments that I'm requesting also. So if you could just tell me what format, if those are amendments or if those are notations, or I sent some suggested language to Eleanor, which I also sent to Rhoda so that you could see it, and I sent it to Ken. I don't necessarily want to send it to everybody because I'm not sure if that was appropriate, but it just basically says my 3 points that I made. And I'd like to have those noted in the motion or referred to in some way, in the same way Mr. Barata and Mr. kbeaugrand's comments appear to be suggestions as part of the motion. Thanks.
thank you. Yes, Lee?
Again, from a parliamentary viewpoint, unless there is a formal amendment to the motion, I'm happy to have all of these comments accompany the motion as explanation, but they are not part of the motion unless we vote on them.
I tend to agree, and I think that's reasonable to include these as explanations in all of this. In other words, that we have the commentary as it relates to no motor vehicle access in the public areas except for emergency vehicle access. Public access shall not prohibit customary maintenance and upgrade of the bulkhead, and public access shall not prohibit the installation of additional storm season protections at or about the bulkhead, provided that we have continued to have pedestrian access, and that the committee has reviewed the request for a pedestrian to use the loading and unloading, and in light of that, we are still continuing with the motion to convey with the easements and for the three parcels, for the 2 One Big Beach with the One Big Beach easements, the one for the conveyance, and with the understanding that the only access is really going to be pedestrian, but for the only vehicular access will be emergency access. And I think that's what we're all looking at in terms of the sort of explanation behind the motion and the vote and the details therein. Okay, so with that in mind, well, I'm not sure if we should do it as 1 or 3.
We talked about it as 3.
I think we should just do it as all 3 for that matter. So the motion on the table is to convey parcel 1 on plan 2018-35 for One Big Beach easement, parcel A on plan 2018-35 and 2019-53 for $26,248, and parcel B on Plan 2018-35 and 2019-53 for $0 in consideration of a One Big Beach easement, all with the explanations that we have just discussed. So we will do that was the motion that was made. There was a second. The committee discussed it, and now we'll take a vote on this. So please vote. So we'll do a roll call vote. Lee Saperstein.
Wait,
Aye.
sorry, hold
Wait,
on.
oh, sorry, what?
I just want you to clarify one thing. Your motion's fine, except you didn't say that I don't think you said parcel 1 would be for 0 consideration.
I'm sorry, parcel 1 was for, you're right, it's for One Big Beach easement. I apologize if I did not include
I didn't
that.
hear it. You may have said, but I didn't hear it.
That's blame the mask. All right, so we'll do a roll call vote. Lee Saperstein.
Happy to repeat, aye.
Thank you, Lee. Tom Barretta.
Sorry about that. No.
Okay, that's an A. Penny Dye.
Aye.
And John Brescher, the chair, votes aye in favor. Motion carries 3-1.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. And now,
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your patience.
Shannon.
I've got plenty of time and patience. Thanks, Eleanor.
All right, thank you all. All right, moving on in the agenda. Oh, good, Mr. Ranney.
Is he here?
I hope he's here.
He was.
He is. And
There, the man with the
congratulations, Rob.
legends.
I'm
Mr.
here.
Ranney, how are you today?
Doing fantastic. How's everybody?
Tip top, thank you kindly.
Good.
We would love to chat with you about pricing and neighborhood factors as we are moving forward with our lovely committee. This is a discussion that I think has been long overdue. And so it is, we would love to bend your ear about what the magic formula is that we can use to calculate these prices.
Well, I hope you've studied the memo that I sent out.
I
And
can
how?
share it. It's on page 43 of the packet, but I can screen share it if people want. It's just one page.
There'll be a quiz later. So basically, the idea, much like ordinary land is valued at, the nicer the neighborhood, the better the view, the more expensive it is. So we start with the base factor, which we upped to $2 per square foot. And if there are a neighborhood factor or a view factor, we multiply those in and come up with a square foot number. So as you've seen in your packet already today, the Hulbert Avenue number was much higher than the $2 number, which is probably, what it is in Mid-Island area. So down on Hulbert Avenue, it's roughly $35 a square foot, where, on Essex Road, it's $2 a square foot.
Makes sense. So Rob, I'm gonna interrupt for a minute rudely. Are you, as I think we all know, real estate is booming and is just at an unprecedented rate right now. Is that going to have an impact, given the number of transactions that's going on and the increase in sale price? Is that going to in fact impact the assessed value of properties currently? And what I'm really getting at is, if property values are currently increasing really at an alarming rate right now, would we be revisiting this again come July? In other words, do you think our numbers are going to change as a result of what has happened over the last 6 months and the next 3-4 months?
Of course, we haven't changed them at all.
We haven't changed them. Yeah.
Since this committee was formed. We haven't
Right.
changed
So
them.
right. So I guess the question is, are we anticipating? We tend to hang our hat on what the assessor values properties at, and in light of what's been going on, not to ask you to look into the crystal ball, but do you anticipate a sort of radical change or a change in assessed values of properties come July?
I don't know.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
It's not gonna.
Fair enough.
Well, I mean, to explain it a little bit, it's not going to affect this year, because this year's numbers are based on what happened in 2019.
Right.
So in 2022, which starts next July, we'll be looking at sales that happened in 2020, which is this year. So it could have an influence. It could not. I don't know yet.
Okay.
But the base number was based on a $50,000 per acre excess land number, which
Right.
had been in place for many, many, many years and wasn't changed at all. So Debbie and I looked at it and said, it's been so many years that we have to do something because this is a crazy number. So we doubled it. And that seems to be working out, or at least for this year, for fiscal 21 anyway, it seems to be working out okay. There have been some instances where it's not worked okay, but that's something that we can deal with. But you're right. I mean, if things are going crazy, then this is something that we certainly need to keep an eye on.
Okay.
Makes sense.
And I'll ask this of staff as well. Has anybody? I mean, we've seen some pretty high conveyance figures for these yard sale pieces for the unbuildable land. I mean, heck, we just had, was it 24,000 for Holbert Ave? Has anyone ever complained? I mean, has anyone ever said like, oh man, that I don't want to be paying $5,000 for this 2,000 square feet, but boy, if it were 4,000, that's a reasonable figure. I say this only because I don't think I've ever heard of anyone pitching a fit, even for the really large, for the largest ones, even the ones on Low Beach Road where it was $30,000. Nobody really batted an eye.
Yeah,
No one's complained. Well, I've had people who said I can't come up with the money right now, but they've never.
Yeah, sure.
They've never bought at the price, and I think they understand that the assessed value is not the same as the appraised value. So, in many cases, they're getting a really good deal.
Yeah, I've had a few people say that they haven't paid enough, but that I'm not going to tell you who those people are.
Name names. Let's go after them.
No, but generally speaking, we have not had anyone complain to us about it because I think they understand that they're getting a deal. And even though they can't use it to subdivide and, whatever the restrictions are, it allows them to have a pool or a shed or something that they might not have had otherwise. So yeah, it's
your garden, whatever. Absolutely.
It's a good deal.
It's theirs. Okay. That's great. I mean, my initial comment is I don't want to say it's long overdue, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing to change, and I don't know if I don't know who starts the initiative next time. In other words, knowing what we know about the 2020 prices. If we reach out to you come 2022, or if you want to reach out to us, I don't know, but I'm sort of anticipating, even if it doesn't double like it just did. I mean, even if it's $250 or $270 or whatever, you keep in $3. I mean, it's still a good deal. People will still, we think, people are still going to have the demand for it. People are still going to pay for it, and it's a number we can hang our hat on. In all of this. So
maybe in the future it becomes something like we provide the base number and then you guys round it up to something, because we might not be able to support a higher number because we do have DOR looking over us who will look at this and say, wait, you're charging too much. That's crazy. Or maybe they'll say we're not charging enough. But either way, it might not be the right number. The end result from us might not be what you need to charge. Maybe you need to charge $5 or $6 or whatever it is. You guys round it up to whatever makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I think we should, try to do it at least once every 18 months to 2 years.
Rhoda,
we shouldn't let it go as long as it has gone.
Rhoda, I was just going to suggest that it should be an item at the first item on the start of each calendar year for the committee to take a look at the price, apply for that coming year, get input from the assessor's office, and make a determination so everybody knows up front, and it's not a situation that is done on.
Well, can I make a comment?
Yeah, please do, Tom.
Maybe we should put this on the calendar for review in March so that we can have it, if we decide to raise it, we can actually make it happen on the fiscal year, so it's all in sync with the town.
I think it makes sense to sync it with fiscal year. I'm not sure that March is gonna work, but I think
Well, I mean, I'm just throwing
sort of
a
who
date.
cares when it is, as long as it syncs
As
up.
long as it does.
As long as it syncs up, I think we're on the same page with that.
Yeah, March might be a little early for us, but we can certainly, look at it moving from that point forward.
Okay.
But March would get the ball rolling, even if we had to approve it in June. At least it would give time to vet out information to make a decision.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. I mean, I think that the intent is that we would not do any new dispositions or conveyances in the new fiscal year until we consult with the assessor and sort of can revisit all the pricing structures. And it may be that come June, we have the conversation with Rob and he says, nothing's changed. Great.
Mhm.
Then come for any late July price conveyances, then we at least know. But I think you're right. I think it's a good way to be consistent, for lack of a better term.
That makes sense.
And what happens if we decide to raise the rates, but something's already been negotiated to a lower rate? Are we going to overrule it?
I don't think
I don't think you can.
I don't think we can for something like that.
If it's already been
So in
negotiated.
other words, anything that's in the pipeline now is going to be locked in at a lower rate. So any warrant article that has been done, so it would really only,
I don't know
work
about
for anything new.
that.
No, but I think once it's been locked in, I think it's going to be difficult to overrule it.
I mean, I think the way we were locked in the past was with the RFP.
Yeah, there's
We
still
haven't done
some
we haven't
RFP
done
stuff out
RFPs in
there.
a long time.
There's still some RFP stuff out there. For
Right.
Lancourt D. So.
Right, but if we have a new one coming down now,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't, or even one that was taken back in 2017, I don't necessarily think we have to apply 2017 pricing.
Okay.
I don't because we haven't done anything. I mean, it's just been taken. There's no unless I'm mistaken, I don't think there's been any promise as to what the disposition price is going to be. It's always been, all right, well, it's probably going to be in this range, but nothing firm. At least that's what we think.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense.
All right, Lee and Penny, any comments?
The comment made by Ken about transparency is a good one. And Thomas's notion that we start early so that on June 30th, July 1st, we're ready to roll. That's all good with me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Penny?
My only concern is just adequate notice to people.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all, and it's an ongoing struggle for everything.
Mhm.
So yeah. Okay. Any other comments from board members on this? So I guess we've got. Well, how about this? I believe on our agenda we were just talking about a discussion.
Yep.
Regarding the pricing. I would suggest, in light of this, unless anybody has anything else to say, that for our next meeting, one of our agenda items should be a vote to revise the pricing so that it coincides with the assessor with $2 a square foot plus the neighborhood factor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be my inclination, and we can certainly have a more robust discussion about that then. But I think, I mean, this has been good. In my opinion, this has been a very educational discussion thus far, and I think it's good to know where sort of the sense of the committee, what we're looking at here, and that we have the wherewithal to go up in pricing, and that we can hang our hat on it too.
I think that makes good sense. And I think as long as we're on top of it,
right,
and we do it on a regular basis, and Rob keeps reminding us.
or what we do is we have it almost like, in theory, every July meeting or
Yep.
August meeting should be an election of officers. We just say every June meeting should be discussion
Yep.
with the assessor about the pricing.
Makes sense.
Yeah, just
Or earlier.
keep in mind that these new numbers are double what they were before. So
Yep.
people are gonna, you may get pushback from somebody who says, hey, my neighbor over here only paid, $1,000 and now I've got to pay $2,000. That's crazy, but maybe not. I mean, I don't know.
Still a good deal.
It's still a great deal.
Still,
I'm
yeah.
sure you don't want to know what I paid for my house in
Exactly.
1979. So comparisons across the years are not very valid.
No, that's true. So,
Agree.
but I mean, the fallback is that these numbers were not changed for a long time. And
Right.
now they're sort of catching up a little bit, but maybe
Exactly.
it's not enough. We'll have to see.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, any other comments or questions for Rob? No? All right, thank you, Rob. That was really, really
Very helpful.
useful.
Okay, call me
Thank you.
anytime.
All right, we'll do.
I will.
We'll see. All right,
Okay.
thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the discussion regarding the memo to the select board explaining the pricing structure and the review. Well, let's see.
Ken, you're up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ken, if you want to dive in on this one, it starts on page 45 of our packets.
Yeah, all I wanted to say is that what Matt had asked is that staff present a refresher course to the select board with respect to the role and creation of the REAC. And so what I did was I did a first draft of this, and then with significant help from Andrew and the rest of the staff, put together this proposal, which I've run by Libby, and she feels very comfortable with it. My feeling is that it's really very detailed. It goes into all the things that we do, why we do them, and the results that we've had. And so I don't have any additional comments or suggestions to make to it, but I'm happy to have any other suggestions or to modify it if in any way, if people think to achieve what we're trying to do relative to creating a better understanding of the creation of, the history of, and the role of REAC as it relates to the entire yard sale program and other certain issues, real estate issues on Island.
We need to update all the people who are reappointed. I believe Rhoda, Penny, and Lee were
Yes.
reappointed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not
That's
Lee,
right.
sorry, Rhoda and Penny. I'm pretty
Rhoda
sure.
and Penny. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that what you were gonna say, Penny?
Yep.
I was going to also say if we're having elections today, perhaps we may need to update that too.
Okay.
Can I
Kick me
have,
off,
the-
kick
I
me
have the
off,
word
somebody
drop.
else.
I'll do it.
The one thing I'd like to add to the this memo or request that we get as part of the packets is for the GIS maps, not only include the regular plot GIS, but also the aerial satellite image, because even though we get it for some of the coastal properties, there could be some where there could be a path that's laid out that we don't see, that doesn't show up on the regular flat image and whatnot. And sometimes with an aerial image, you can see better, you can lay things out better than you can with just a regular black and white map.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. Is the committee comfortable with that?
Yes, I think so.
Thomas is absolutely right. I consult the aerial maps over and over again. But if we're making an official judgment, GIS is not necessarily accurate.
Agreed. I mean, and I'm going to chime in, Lee. In theory, if we are making a final judgment, all the paths, etc., should be shown on the surveyed plan. I mean,
Correct.
That's what we
But
should be using to base our judgment off of.
Yeah,
I'm also suggesting that this also be included in the packet so that when it finally makes it in front of the selectmen, they've got that information, because half the time they don't realize what's there because they honestly don't see it. So I've had that conversation with one or two selectmen in the past, and it's like, look at the aerial. Prime example was the Low Beach one, you know, having the aerial versus not having it. So you're able to, one showed, the other didn't. So I'm just making that comment. So going forward, we can add that as part of the packet or the kit.
Okay. As long as it's not too much work, go for it. And
Eleanor, will you be able to add that to the memo as well as the other changes that we're making today?
Yeah, I mean, I include the GIS and everything. And if the aerial is different than what's shown on the GIS, I include it. So just so you know, I go look at Google Earth, I look at the aerials. And if the aerial doesn't show anything different from what the other GIS does, I don't necessarily include it, but I will from now on.
okay, thank you. All right, any other comments from board members on this?
Yep, sounds good.
No, if not, thank you, Ken. This is, I know it was a long time coming. It's much appreciated.
Well, this was a joint product, and Eleanor and Andrew really deserve my heartfelt thanks and kudos.
Thank you, Eleanor and Andrew, then. All right, do you need, I don't think we need a motion on this one, so that's fine. Then we've finally got, or the other last discussion matter is attorney's fees with yard sale matters. Were we able to pull anything from Vicky on this? Or town admin?
I was not aware that I was supposed to be pulling up anything on this.
Okay.
No, I have nothing to report on it.
No, he just wanted us to discuss it. Thomas at the last meeting said he wanted to bring it back up for discussion. I don't have time to do this. And I don't know Ken would either. I mean, this is, you can maybe do a freedom of, I don't know how you want to gather the data, but it's a ginormous task.
So I get, well, all right, let's circle back then. Tom, is the
issue?
Yeah, is the issue that we're not town council isn't charging enough, or that they're charging too much, or?
Not too much.
Well, no, I mean, like, you know, for general service, like, you know, I'll take an example. We'll go 2018. The general cost for the town lawyer back in 2018, you know, for the yard sale program was like $26,000. And then we billed out, or let me rephrase that. The total amount was $42,000 that the lawyers charged. 26,000 of it was general fees. The rest of that was itemized back to individual parcels. Now, I don't know if that was billed to the clients or to the owners of the property, those individual fees, or if it was just the closing costs associated with it.
There's closing costs associated.
Okay, I mean, closing costs would be a one-line item. Some of these date over a whole year. Some of these properties have lawyer fees that go for two fiscal years. So, you know, like Young property at a good example would be, you know, the Young property on Holbert Avenue. That
was very complex. That was exceedingly complex, and there were multiple land court iterations. There was a deregistration, so that's not a typical example, by the way.
Okay, but did we collect all those fees from the sale, or did we pay that out of pocket for the town? Like, was all that money recollected from the owners to do all that, or did we just, the only fee that we collected was the closing cost of the transfer?
Who is the we we're talking about?
The town. I'm talking
Yes,
like, I'm using the town in the plural.
Lee, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, is this discussion within our mission?
No, not really, but
is
I'm
not.
curious.
Okay. I'm just, all right, that's fine. I'll raise it. I'll figure out somewhere else to raise it. That's fine. I'm trying to understand this, because we collect a closing fee for the lawyers to close out the property to be sold. I understand that. But there's a lot of other lawyer fees and a lot of other fees associated with this program that we're not collecting on for the town. The town seems to be paying money to get to disperse these properties out to the abutters. Yes, I understand that it goes on to the tax base. I understand that. But it seems that some of these may be costing the town more to do it than it's actually worth to get it done. And,
Thomas, if you were going to be selling your property, you would have to do a whole lot of legal work before you could sell it. It wouldn't be built into your sale price. For instance, if you had to close out some COs or do additional title examination or refinancing issues, those wouldn't necessarily be built in. So you could say, in a way, I understand what you're saying, but you could say there's a comparable level of responsibility to the town to make sure there's clean and clear title and that things are lined up properly for the disposition. That's incumbent upon the town to make sure that that is well handled so that we don't have issues going forward.
That's my sense on this too, Eleanor, that I think Tom does make a good point that there are town fees associated with all these yard sale transactions that are not necessarily accounted for in the closing figures. Primarily because I don't think that the town is charging the ultimate purchaser for any work that's done with the order of taking or any of the preliminary documentation. That being said, that onus is on the town. In other words, that if Vicky wants to charge an extra, $180 or $300 or whatever it is, sort of bank that into the attorney's fees for the disposition, so when she collects that works, that's fine. I don't really have any issues with her doing that, but that's not for us.
It
That's
really isn't.
that's for Koppelman and Page, and in particular Vicky, to determine that. I don't think we can go in and at closing say, hey, by the way, we're going to charge you extra because town council didn't get off their duff and charge you the first time. I don't think that's within our purview, our authority, or frankly, I don't necessarily even feel comfortable doing that. If we keep it's very easy for me to criticize. I mean, billable hours are miserable to keep track of, but if the town can sort of try to bank that into their closing costs, yeah, I don't think anybody's going to bat an eye at that, but the town or Vicky and Koppelman Page needs to do that, not us.
Yeah, it's not within our purview to do that. It really isn't.
Penny?
Yeah, I think what we're talking about is passing on some of the seller's closing costs to the buyer. If we try and do this an alternative way, I don't even know if that's possible legally to do that.
Penny, could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I think what it sounds like we're sort of dancing around is passing on some of the seller's cost of doing business to the buyers.
No, that's not appropriate at all.
Well, I don't know if there's a legal way to even do that.
I don't think there is.
I don't know that there is, but again, if somebody is going to be getting a taking, I mean, it's going to be a taking and a disposition, and they want the town to do the taking, then perhaps Vicky can say, okay, well, in conjunction with this closing, I prepared the taking, which you, Joe homeowner, wanted, so I could ultimately dispose of it. But again, that's for the town to or that's for Vicky and the town to decide with their billing, not with our committee.
Right.
I bet one conversation with her could sort of clear all this up.
No comment.
Yeah. Somebody.
Yeah. It may not be a bad idea, and I'm not sure who is sort of in charge of her pricing or billing, but we should.
The select board.
The select board. The select board reviews all of Koppelman and Page's bills with respect to all the different activities provided for the town, and the bills are fairly detailed in terms of what the billings are for.
John, we need you.
What do you need?
Well, your meeting's kind of.
I know this. Well, can't do everything.
Is there anything else?
All right, any other comments, et cetera, on this? Are we good?
Where's your co-host? Let's see.
He is getting some books for me. So we will wait.
All right. He's not a Lego master?
Yeah, he may we were doing some Playmobil, but he may make a guest appearance in a little bit. All right, so Eleanor, you and I and Andrew and Ken can talk about checking in with Vicky, but I think it's worth bringing up. But again, I don't think it's within our purview. But it is a good point raised. All right, so moving on, election of officers. Things got kind of screwy come July, so we really should elect officers again. And so we have, let's see, chair, vice chair, and secretary.
I nominate John as chair.
Second.
Thanks.
Wait,
All right.
do we have a secretary? Hold on a minute.
Yes, it's Penny, according to Ken's memo.
But that doesn't mean I take the minutes.
Yeah, you knew I was going to go there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I anticipated it.
Hold on. I don't know if we do have a secretary. Let me just check. I trust Ken.
Yeah, we do. I was it.
Because we didn't.
I think Penny was it.
News to me.
All right. I do think we have a secretary.
We do indeed. We do indeed.
I know.
My bad.
What an age. All right. Motion was made and seconded for John Brescher as chair. So
Who seconded? Sorry, who seconded?
Penny seconded.
Thank you.
All in favor?
I guess we have to do any discussion on the motion. Thanks, I think. All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Rhoda Wyman.
Aye.
Lee Saperstein.
Aye.
Tom Barretta.
Aye.
Thanks. Penny Dye.
Aye.
Thanks. And John Brescher votes aye grudgingly. All right. Thank you all. All right. Vice Chair.
I'll make a motion to nominate Rhoda.
I'll second that. All right. Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All right. If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Rhoda Wyman.
Do I have to vote on this?
Abstain?
No, I'll vote aye.
All right. Thank you. Lee Saperstein.
Aye.
All right.
Thanks, Lee.
Tom Barretta.
Aye.
Thank you. Penny Dye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. All right, secretary.
I know.
It's a stepping stone position.
To what?
I don't know. All right. Will anyone want to make a motion for any secretaries, or anybody want to be the clerk? As it were?
I have a question. As
Yes,
as the existing secretary, what
Yes.
does the secretary even do?
We don't really. I imagine if we didn't have staff, it would be taking minutes. However, we have staff, so as I said, it's a stepping stone.
Well, we should have probably asked on the other two positions, does anybody else want to do it? Screams
All
of
jump up.
silence. Yeah,
I think that's your indication right there.
all right.
So let me follow up on Penny's question. Moving forward, will staff be actually taking the minutes?
If Penny wants to, she can.
I would prefer that staff, for a variety of reasons,
Right.
competence and continuity, continue to take the minutes.
I think that makes sense.
Big
I heard a
sigh.
sigh there.
I better mute myself.
So Penny, would you be honorary secretary?
Sure, I will do it again. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Is there a
Therefore, That's a
motion?
motion for Penny
All right,
Dye
there-
as honorary
motion made.
secretary.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion? All right. If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Rhoda Wyman.
Aye.
Lee Saperstein.
Aye.
Tom Barretta.
Aye.
Penny Dye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Great. Thank you.
No.
Congratulations to all of our returning officers.
But John, just as an explanation to my colleagues, I am the official secretary for the Cemetery Commission, for Roads and Right-of-Way, and for the Nantucket Town Association,
My
which is
goodness.
why I sat on my hands.
I love it. All right. Any other business to discuss? Okay. If not, date and time of the next meeting. I assume we're going to have a November meeting?
Sure.
Yeah, let me check when the select board meeting is so we can work accordingly. All right, here we go.
Okay.
November meeting will be on the 18th, presumably, because of course Thanksgiving is the 25th. So it would need to be the week of the 2nd or the 9th, but early in the week of the 9th. And I don't know what I'm going to have on there other than the, we'll have the conveyance release of easement for the Veith matter.
Okay.
And then the motion for the price factor change. And I don't know what else, but it should be a short meeting, all things considered. So again, the week, either the week of the 2nd of November or the week of the 9th. Oh, and I'll have a conveyance. I'm sorry. We'll have a conveyance for the carpenter for Wee Weeder. So that will be, so there will be 2 conveyances.
And the Tuesday of the week of the 2nd November is election day, so you probably want to do it the 9th.
Yes.
Yeah, the third is election day.
Yeah, the 9th is
Don't
good
worry about it.
for me.
Which day is Veterans Day?
11th.
The 11th.
11th.
So we want to do the 10th or the 17th?
Okay.
I think we should do the 17th.
No, wait a minute. No, that's too, no, because they're meeting on the 18th.
Oh,
Oh,
So we need to do either the 9th or the 10th or sometime the week of the 2nd. I think the 9th works if people.
yeah. I'm gonna vote for the 9th.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's a Monday, and we could do 2 o'clock. This all, of course, is contingent upon availability of Zoom, but I don't think it'll be a problem.
It always is.
So November 9, you said, at 2 o'clock?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, Monday. I will confirm after we adjourn. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
second.
Aye.
Beautiful. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Rhoda Wyman,
Aye.
Lisa Saperstein,
Hi, see you all later.
see you, Tom Barretta.
Aye.
Thank you. Penny Dye
Aye, bye.
and John
Thank you.
Burke, the chair votes aye. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.